Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, January the 11th, 2022. This is our first regular Commissioners Court meeting for 2022. I can't believe 2022. But being that, you know that this is the open agenda, and I want to go ahead and address this right away, that anybody that wishes to speak, that's you, Sharon, would you please fill out a public participation form and hand it to Sheriff Deeds, and Sheriff Deeds will give it to Katie Lang, who will then number it and put it in line here so that you can speak. And it's a maximum of 5 minutes for a maximum of 30 minutes, so the first 6 wanting to speak on things that are not on the agenda. That's why that is so very important. So with that, I would like to, we have a substitute minister here today, but somebody that is very well known to everybody here in Hood County. It's Pastor Mike McMahon, who's going to give us the invocation this morning. Pastor McMahon.
Pray with me, please. Father, in Jesus' name, we give thanks for the United States, the state of Texas, and Hood County for our government. We hold up in prayer before you the women and the men who are in positions of authority. We thank you that the communication of our faith becomes effective by acknowledging every good thing that is in us in Jesus Christ. Thank you that we hear your voice and follow. We want to walk and do your will in a manner that is fully pleasing to you. We roll our works upon you and pray that our thoughts are agreeable to your will. Thank you for directing our steps and making them sure. Lord, we thank you that what we do is blessed in your rest as we trust and rely on you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Now, would you join me in our Pledge of Allegiance to our flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now to the pledge of the United States of Texas.
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. The last Commissioners Court here, one very important member of our community was sitting on the very back row up here where usually law enforcement are, and she wears a hearing aid, and she told me, she said, Judge, would you please tell all the commissioners and all the speakers to please speak, have the microphone very close to your mouth so that we can all hear you. So if anybody here in the Commissioners Court ever has a problem with hearing, just raise your hand and I'll notice that, and I'll remind the speakers at the podium and even the commissioners and myself that we need to speak closer to the microphone. She said, she told, and Mike Scott is up there, he has hearing aids, he says that that would also help him out if we could do that. But she says, I told my students to act like the microphone is a lollipop and you're about to lick the lollipop. So that kind of helped me remember that. So if y'all could please remember that, so that everybody, nothing is more aggravating really and annoying if you can't hear somebody. It's like trying to listen to the TV that's cut down too low. So anyway, thank you for that. So now, and thank you for your special invocation here. You know, we lost Pastor Bill Miller, Dr. Bill Miller, who was in charge of this, and I just miss him. I was telling Pastor McMahon, I've missed him every Commissioner's Court. I just can't stand it. He did this. We have every church in Hood County has come up here and sent somebody, if you believe in Jesus Christ, and had an opportunity and have given an invocation. It's a very important thing for the community, and I really enjoy that. So thank you. And Pastor McMahon has taken up the mantle. He needed another job. He's only got about 12 or 15. So if anybody needs anybody else to do anything, give a busy man a job, and he'll do it. So that's good. All right, special presentations. Ms. Welburn, do you have something? Okay. I have written by my notes here when I was preparing for this, wow, W-O-W. I'm really looking forward to meeting Robert and Sammy Williams here. I can't believe this. I wish people liked me as much as y'all like animals. I just wish that. Okay, Sheriff, go ahead.
Judge, Commissioners, citizens, want to introduce Sammy and Robert Williams. They've been longtime supporters of animal control, and Kelly, Sergeant McNabb, of course. So anyway, they've been a great supporter. We wanted to recognize them for all they've done. The totals amount that you can see on your agenda is $80,000 is what these people have gave to animal control to help those animals in need out there. So they fill in the gaps of the different programs that we try to do and accomplish, and sometimes they're just in budget and money, and it's good people, great people like this that help pull everything through and keep things running. So we are so blessed to have people like you in the community. Amen. So we wanted to...
Beautiful.
So a little something to recognize you guys
That is
for
beautiful.
all your efforts that you help animal control with. Thank you.
Yeah, he wants to say something.
Yeah.
Kelly has worked with us so well. She's organized. We never have to worry about the money. She takes care of it. I have nothing but good things to say about both these folks. We really do appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you both. Thank you. And by the way, that's Kelly McNabb up here, who's in charge of animal control,
Thank you.
who is only nationally recognized for the work that she has done. So she does a great job. So. Okay, now there are no service awards? No, sir. No service award. So this brings us down to the citizens' comments at large, and don't have any. Nope. So we do not have any citizens' comments at large. And so remember, we do have 3 people that want to speak on different agenda items. So if you do want to speak on agenda items, please fill out a public participation form, hand it to Sheriff Deeds, so Sheriff Deeds can take it, give it to Katie Lang, and then it can be numbered and put in line. Thank you. Now, this brings us to the consent agenda. Does any of the commissioners wish to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Yes, Judge, I do. I've got a couple of things.
All right.
First thing, I just want to mention that under donations, under item 4, we're accepting I know it's in the consent agenda, we're accepting a anonymous donation that's made through the Library Board Foundation for the County Library in the amount of $1,000 going towards ebooks. And this is the second time that person, who's anonymous, doesn't really want to be told who's doing it, but I think it's just great that people like that, they donate through the foundation, and the foundation gives it to the library for ebooks. So I just want to mention that while it's on the consent agenda. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I need to pull off of the agenda, the consent agenda, is approval of the minutes. We have some, we need to make a correction on the minutes of the court of December 14th. On December the 14th, the minutes, and I'm going to give each one of you court members a copy of the minutes just so that you can, I think I've got a copy. Is that just one for you? Did I give you more than one? That's, yeah, there's another one. The minutes of the 14th, under item development, that is 8A to B. We held a public hearing. We were going to hold a public hearing on January 11th to allow a continuance of a replat in Hunterwood lots, 15R and 15R2, Block 5. The minutes reflect that a motion was made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the replat of Hunterwood lots, 15R1, R2, Block 5, and Precinct 2. It reflects that it was seconded by Commissioner Wilson, and all voted aye. Actually, what happened on that particular item, let me get my notes here. We should have read, the minutes should have reflected what actually happened. And there was a motion made by Commissioner Cotton to grant the continuance of the public hearing for a replat until the January 11th court, which is today. And that was seconded by Commissioner Wilson, and they all voted aye. Motion carried 5-0. The importance of that is we're going to talk about and make a decision on that replat today, but yet the minutes back on the 14th were recorded that we already approved it, and we didn't. So, you know, I didn't want to get into, you know, minutia about the minutes not being right, but this is pretty important that we get this right, because we're going to vote on that again today on that replat. So I would like to make that change to the minutes of the December 14th court.
I do want to address the minutes for the 28th, specifically item 8C4. The minutes do not reflect that I made a motion. It was seconded by Commissioner Eagle and Commissioner Andrews at the same time. The vote was 4-0. That is not reflected in the minutes. Likewise, on item 8C5, again, I made a motion to, for the purchase order for vehicle equipment rigging, seconded by Commissioner Andrews. The vote was 4-0. That is not also reflected in the minutes.
Okay. I seem to recall that too. I think that we can just, let's just go ahead and, Ms. Lang, I think that the first one is easy. Just is motion made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the continuance. I think that the word continuance was left out. Do you agree with that?
Sure. I would suggest that instead of bringing this before court, if you would just email it to me, I can make the correction right away. And then, like Commissioner Cotton, if it's something that's due up in court again, it would be corrected before you even got here. Okay. So I would suggest that you just email me with your revisions, and I will fix anything that is incorrect.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we'll do that. So for those three, then, we're going to go ahead and make the corrections. You don't have any problem making the three corrections then that work? Okay. So I don't think we have to vote on that since we've already voted on that, so.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda with the three items that we just discussed.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the consent agenda with the three modifications and corrections that were stated by Commissioner Cotton and Commissioner Wilson. The motion was seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay. All right. This brings us down to Mr. Clinton. Hey, Mr. Lenny, you don't have anything for us today? Okay, good. So that means, Mr. Clinthead, you're up.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners. First item we have today is a public hearing to discuss and consider the site development plan of Confrontation Ace Hardware.
Okay, so at this time, we're going to convene into a public hearing to consider the site development plan for Confrontation Ace Hardware. There's already one there, right? Isn't it? There's a hardware store there, isn't it?
Not in Pecan. Nope.
There's something, well,
No, we've got a commercial grocery stores and other things here.
yeah, but no hardware. We need, okay, well, good. Proceed, Mr. Head.
The property is located at 2840 Village Road. The property is part of the James W. Moore Survey, abstract number 344 of Hood County, will occupy 1.903 acres. The site development plan is located in the Water Quality District in Precinct 2 and will be served by AMUD Water and Sewer. The proposed site development plan proposes to create 11,944 square foot building with a 7,140 square foot garden center, 37 parking spaces with a 24-foot wide fire lane with concrete paving. Staff has reviewed this site development plan and all comments have been addressed. Staff recommends approval as presented.
Okay, any discussion? Is anybody wanting to speak on this? I don't think that there is anybody. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's reconvene back into Commissioners Court then. And is there anybody who would like to make a motion regarding the Ace Hardware Store?
Yeah, Judge, I will make the motion to approve the site development plan in Pecan Plantation for the Ace Hardware Store.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the development plan for the Pecan Plantation Ace Hardware Store, second by Commissioner Kevin Andrews down here. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, what else do you have, Mr. Head?
Next item we have is a public hearing to discuss and consider the replat of Hunterwood Addition lots 15R1 and 15R2 in Block 5 and Precinct 2. This public hearing was continued at the December 14th, 2021 Commissioners Court.
Okay, we're going to now convene at 9:23 into a public hearing. Please.
This replat is a subdividing of Lot 15, Block 5, Hunterwood, and proposes to create a 0.545 of an acre lot known as 15R1 and a 0.545 of an acre lot known as 15R2. The property is located in the Road Corridor District in Precinct 2 and is served by public water and be served by an on-site sewage facility. As required by the local government code, development mailed out letters concerning this subdividing of the lot to every property owner of the subdivision. And out of 172 letters, development had 11 responses. One response was for the replat, 2 were indifferent, 8 were against the property being split into 2 lots. There's a variance associated with this replat that has to be approved in order for the approval of the replat. The variance is to Section 1, Section 5.5A2, Residential Density Standards, Limitations in Road Corridor District, that states the property served by centralized water and not centralized sewer. The residential density shall be 1 dwelling unit per gross acre for all residential dwelling units. So in layman terms, 1 acre lots. The density of this replat is 2 dwelling units per gross acre or a half acre lot. There are other lots in the subdivision that are this size that were created before the state even allowed counties to regulate subdivisions, and they are legally non-conforming. The regulations do not allow the creation of a new lot of this size that will be served by on-site sewage facilities. Staff has reviewed the replat. All comments have been addressed. If the court chooses to grant the variance, staff recommends approval of the replat. If the court chooses to deny the variance, the court must deny the replat because it does not meet the density requirements as set out in Section 1 of the Development Permit Regulations, Section 5.5A2A.
So what are you What is your department recommending?
Staff recommends it does not meet the regulations for Section 5.52A. I mean, would open the gate to create those size lots for everywhere.
We have one speaker that is signed up to guest, Ms. Lorena Dominguez. Ms. Dominguez? Good morning, ma'am. Would you pull the mic next to you so that we can hear you, please? And speak
Good morning.
close to the mic. Yes.
Good morning. I am the owner of the lot, and I am recommending that we're allowed to split the lot. My goal is to build 2 properties on it. The current home, or the previous home, it has burned down. We have cleaned the lot, and it did have a non-aerobic system on it. We would be adding another one.
You have anything else?
In the same subdivision, there were 4 previous homes built at the end of 2021. They all they were grandfathered in prior to the new regulations he was speaking to. And they all actually have aerobic systems on them, and those are on quarter-acre lots.
Okay.
Did you say you're not adding?
We would be adding an aerobic system to it.
Okay.
There is a current non-aerobic system on the property. We would possibly have to remove the non-aerobic and add a separate aerobic if the tank wasn't working anymore.
Mr. Head, what happens, is she grandfathered in on the non-aerobic system?
She's grandfathered in on the lot. The lot size, I mean, she meets the lot requirement right now as it is because she's got a 1-acre lot, but she's not grandfathered in. For the non-aerobic system, she's grandfathered until it fails.
The issue, she's trying to split the 1-acre lot into 2 lots? That's the issue, correct? Okay. Okay.
And let me add, if that happens, it negates the grandfather, right?
Yes.
Hey, anything else? Anybody else wish to speak, have any questions or comments? Okay, we're going to reconvene back into Commissioners Court hearing. Thank you, Ms. Dominguez, for your comments.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now at 9:28, we're back into Commissioners Court. So, Mr. Head, you feel very strongly that you would not recommend granting the variance?
Staff thinks it would set a precedent that would open the gate to create that size lot everywhere.
Okay. Okay.
That rule away if we allow this variance.
Yeah, let me speak on this. You know, the density of the proposed lot, replat, it doesn't meet the density requirements as set out, as Mr. Head mentioned in Section 1, for the development permit regulations, Section 5.5.A2A. So therefore, it doesn't meet that, and she can't do that without a variance from the court. And if we give the variance for the court, like Mr. Andrews says, it sets a precedent. We'd have a hard time from stopping or not allowing people to build on small lots not suitable for the size. That's what the issue is. So, with that being said, Judge, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to deny the variance due to the density requirements as described in the development permit regulations, Section 5.5.A.2A.
I hear second.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Cotton to deny the variance as described in the code, second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion or comments? Okay, all those in favor of denying the variance, say aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of the variance, say same sign. Okay, motion to deny the variance is granted. That is, the Commissioners Court has denied the variance.
Now you have to vote on the replat.
And, yeah. And by a vote of 5-0. 5-0. Okay,
What, we need to deny the replat also, is that what you're saying?
okay.
Okay.
So,
I'll add to that motion then to deny the replat due to we're not going to give the variance, then the replat would be denied. Yes.
For not meeting the requirements of Section 1.
deny the variance and to deny the replat as well. So does everybody agree with that addition, that we are also voting that we are denying the replat? Is that correct? Okay, that's unanimous as well. Okay. All right, that brings us to item number C, Mr. Head.
All right, we have a preliminary plat of Roldstone Estates, Phases 1 and 2 in Precinct 1.
Yeah.
To discuss and consider, the property is located at 1900 Campbell Road, Toller, Texas. The gross site area for this preliminary plat is 288.66 acres of the W. Hickman Survey, abstract number 216, the J. Hibbins Survey, abstract number 225, and proposes to create 59 single-family residential lots. The preliminary plat is located in the rural district in Precinct 1 and be served by well and on-site sewage facilities. The preliminary plat proposes to construct approximately 10,505 linear feet of public asphalt streets. The concept plan and variances for this preliminary plat were approved at the November 11th, 2021 Commissioners Court meeting. Those two variances were for the streets longer than 600 feet and in a cul-de-sac. All comments have been addressed. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat as presented.
We have one citizen who wishes to speak on that, Mr. Chuck Stark. Thank you for putting that you are in favor, and so is the Development Department, so you're in probably pretty good safe waters here.
Judge, member of the commission, my name is Chuck Stark. I am the surveyor that has prepared this plat and submitted it for your consideration. I'm only here to answer any questions you might have about the development.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, Judge, I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat of Roldstone Estates Phases 1 and 2.
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to approve the preliminary plat Phases 1 and 2, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Head. All right, this brings us to financial matters. Ms. Becky Kidd. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Before we approve the invoices, I'd like to remind all department heads, elected officials, anyone who processes invoices, that we cannot accept anything other than an original invoice. We've been getting a handful of photos of invoices, which that's not really acceptable. If you cannot find the original receipt, there is a process to go through so we can be assured that this is a valid purchase. So we would just like to remind everyone we have to have an original receipt. That being said, you've all been given advance copies of invoices and the pertinent information. You've also been given a list of payments over $10,000. Are there any questions regarding invoices or payments? And payments in the amount of $262,431.06 have been processed and are awaiting approval.
Okay.
Judge, I make a motion to approve the expenditures for the county in the amount of $262,431.06.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Cotton to pay the bills for the itemization here, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ms. Kidd. Okay, under miscellaneous, item number 1, discuss and consider for approval the use of the south side of the historic courthouse on February the 26th, 2022, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the Texas Independence Celebration hosted by the Sons of the Republic, Davy Crockett Chapter. We have Mr. Dan Vandenberg here, who's the vice president of this fine organization up here, and I dare anybody here to speak against letting us use the courthouse for Texas Independence Day. Is there anybody so brave that's sitting out here in this audience? I don't see any hands, Mr. Vandenberg. This is a great time to celebrate that, and we won't even disturb the parking around the courthouse.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a very important occasion, and I'm also proud to be a member of this organization, by the way.
We're glad to have
too.
you.
Okay. Is there anybody that would like to say anything or oppose this? Pastor McMahon, you certainly don't. You were back there fighting, weren't you? All right.
Wow.
I'll have to pay for that. You and I are such good friends, I can get away with that, can't I?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. God, that's going to cost me.
Maybe not today. huh?
Hey, that's going to cost me a big lunch. I want everybody to know that. That's going to cost me a big lunch. But anyway, that's a great organization, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make the motion that we allow the use of the south side of the historic courthouse on February the 22nd, 2022, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for the Texas Independence Celebration hosted by the Sons of the Republic of Texas, the David Crockett Chapter. Yes, sir.
Did you say the February 22nd?
26th.
26th.
26th of 2022, okay? All right?
Now, I'll second with the addendum that he takes Pastor McMahon to Morton's.
You don't eat steak, do you, Pastor McMahon? You only eat tuna fish, right? Is that what it still is? No. Okay. Any other comments or questions concerning? All right. All those in favor of Texas independence in this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dead silence there, isn't it? All right, great. The motion is approved unanimously. Please tell Ron Sutton that we're prevailing, so great. We have Mrs. Claus up here clapping on the thing. I said that there was going to be two things for sure that got approved today on the agenda, and that's approving Texas Independence Day celebration and also the approval of Santa's house there on the square for all the kids and actually for everybody in Hood County. So anyway, thank you very much, Dan, for bringing this down here. Okay, item number 2, discuss and take appropriate action regarding the funding of the Clean Air Coalition for the next 2 years in the amount of $25,000 using funds from contract services. Commissioner Cotton.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Michelle Mckenzie, who is our person that runs the show out there. We couldn't do without her. She does a great job. She's involved with it. We've also got Mark Franco, who's our president of the Clean Air Coalition, helping to protect the air quality in Hood County. So I'd like to turn it over to you, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Judge and Commissioners. We do have a little presentation that.
Thank you.
Yeah, good one.
Yep. Thank you. And, oh.
So I am Michelle Mckenzie. I'm the Air Quality Program Manager for the Hood County Clean Air Coalition. We actually came to the court a couple years ago because of the situation with our funding for the Rider 7 under TCQ. It's a contract for air quality planning grant that was done through the city of Granbury that the Clean Air Coalition oversees. So just to give you all a quick rundown, I know it's been a while since we've been here to talk to you. If you can go to the next slide, please. The Hood County Clean Air Coalition was formed in 2012 when Hood County was first facing the possibility of a non-attainment designation for the 2008 ozone standard. The coalition is a stakeholder group of local government officials, including representatives from Granbury, Toller, Crescent, Hood County, citizens and local businesses who would be impacted by a non-attainment designation. The coalition leads participation of Hood County in the EPA Ozone Advanced Program as an indication of willingness to work to keep Hood County in attainment of the ozone standard. The coalition has overseen air quality planning under the TCEQ Rider 7 Local Air Quality Planning Grant, as well as grants from the North Central Texas Council of Governments. Next slide, please. So what ozone non-attainment means, it's under the Clean Air Act. There are certain standards set for air quality. So an area may be designated non-attainment for the ozone standard if the design value at the area monitored does not meet the current standard, and our current standard is set at 70 parts per billion. Air quality standards are meant to be protective of human health and the health of the environment, and areas that do not meet the standard face varying requirements based on the classification level required in the Clean Air Act. Texas currently has 4 areas that are designated non-attainment for ozone: Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, Galveston, Brazoria, Bexar County, and most recently, El Paso County. Next slide, please. So this is an overview of what the Clean Air Act planning and control requirements are by classification. As you can see, it ranges from the bottom being marginal and goes all the way up to extreme. For each level, there are certain requirements that have to be met, and as you go up, the requirements from the previous level still apply, and so you have additional requirements added at each level. And you do get more time to try to meet those standards with the increase in the requirements. Next slide, please. So this is a map of the Dallas-Fort Worth non-attainment area, and as you can see in that map, Hood County is actually adjacent to 2 non-attainment counties, being Parker and Johnson County, and we are influenced by the things that happen in the non-attainment area as the weather influences us as well. Next slide, please. So this is a graph of our ozone design values at the Hood County Monitor, which is actually in the parking lot next to this building, at the annex parking lot. And this is from the year 2000 through the end of 2021. The data is not certified for 2021 yet. That certification process goes through usually early spring of 2022. But as of right now, we are sitting at a 64 parts per billion design value. The design value is actually a 3-year average of the 4th highest reading at the monitor. So we're in decent shape right now at 64, with the standard being set at 70. Next slide, please. So under our current grant that just completed December 31st of 2021, which was the TCEQ Rider 7 Air Quality Planning Grant, we were able to complete an emission inventory review and recommendations, as well as some ambient NOx monitoring, which the court was gracious enough to allow us to park the NOx monitor trailer next to the ozone monitor trailer for most of the 2021 ozone season. Next slide, please. So the update and proposal for fiscal year 22 and 23. So the Texas legislature kind of threw us a little extra challenge this time around. They added several additional counties to the Rider 7 program. For the North Texas region, that included the addition of Hunt County. For administrative purposes, it kind of put us in a bind to where we had to go to the North Central Texas Council of Governments to allow, to make it a little bit easier to handle managing the grant for Hood as well as Hunt counties. The funding will remain the same at $281,250, but will now apply to both counties, Hood and Hunt County. The proposal from the NCT COG, or North Central Texas Council of Governments, is to subcontract with the Hood County Clean Air Coalition through the administration of the City of Granbury to fund activities to benefit air quality, benefiting air planning for Hood County. The projects include the following and may be expanded as more research is done in the next few months. So the primary focus will be on fleet inventories for the public as well as potentially private fleets to target vehicles for grant funding to replace. So any of the older vehicles that the county has, that the City of Granbury may have, that the school district may have, we're going to try to focus our efforts on those to replace those older vehicles that tend to emit more emissions that contribute to the air quality problems. In addition to that, we would do an additional air quality monitoring around Hood County to help document the transport of emissions that come in primarily from the DFW area. And finally, at this point would be an inventory of traffic accidents and associated congestion to calculate the associated emissions, which may be helpful, not using Rider 7 grant funds, but looking for additional grant fundings to help identify roadway improvements to help with the traffic flow around Hood County. Next slide, please. So we do need your help. A non-attainment designation not only impacts the city of Granbury, but all the communities within Hood County. The Clean Air Coalition is still going to need funding to cover unreimbursed expenses, including expenses prior to the contract execution for Rider 7 with NICHOG, and to cover expenses not eligible for reimbursement. Our estimated shortfall is between $40,000 to $50,000 for the 2 years, fiscal year 22 as well as fiscal year 23. The local contributions signal support for NICHOG efforts for Hood County and support for local air quality efforts. Support for these efforts ensure that stakeholders in the local community stay engaged on the air quality issues and ensure that they are aware of the status of air quality locally as well as in the nearby DFW non-attainment area. The City of Granbury actually included in fiscal year 22 budget a $25,000 donation to the Clean Air Coalition, as well as the in-kind donation of continued office space and phone expense, as well as some other internet and all that type of thing for the office. In addition, the City of Crescent also included a $2,500 donation in their fiscal year 22 budget. So we're asking if the county would be willing and able to match the City of Granbury donation of $25,000 to help us get over this next few months, as well as to cover expenses that would not be included in the funding from NICHOG. Next slide, please. So the benefits of support for air quality planning for Hood County, our current ozone standard is under review and could potentially be lowered from the 70 parts per billion. Participation in this project reflects an active commitment to EPA's Ozone Advance program that Hood County is a participant in. Funding set aside specifically for Hood and Hunt counties by the state legislature should be used for air quality planning and not be dismissed. And planning for future long-term benefits for local governments, looking at the grant funding for assistance in replacing older vehicles. It also reflects being proactive and not reactive and avoiding the economic consequences of a potential non-attainment designation. Would you like to say anything additional?
Just wanted to address, thank you very much for your time, and point out that this is only half the amount of money that we requested a couple of years ago. So we've done a lot of work to try to get funding, tap into the amount of funds that we're able to receive, and get pretty efficient with the money that we have been able to obtain. So we really do appreciate your support.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
We have one speaker up here that some of us can recognize up here, Mr. Jim Jarrett. Mr. Jim Jarrett, you are a specialist in air.
Beg your pardon? Thank you. Have to get another lunch, Judge.
Okay.
I couldn't hear all of that, so
But
probably best. I wanted to speak up on behalf of the Clean Air Coalition. This is something that I recognize is truly, it's a stakeholder group. We have municipalities, we have the county, we have local businesses, and we have individual citizens that actively participate in this. And don't let me forget the school. Their bus fleet personnel actively are very active with helping us. Anyone in the county is going to be affected by this, negatively affected if we get to a non-attainment designation. We use the attainment designation when we're out doing economic development, when we're talking to people that want to move here, the whole bit. So it's to all of our benefit that Hood County continue to be in attainment and continue to make the programs and to show proactive initiation. It is important that we are proactive, not reactive to issues. And I look at that chart. I love charts and numbers, and I love that chart that shows that we are in attainment and have been for the last 4 years. But what I did not hear Michelle mention is that the attainment goals could be lowered from 70 to 65 over the next couple of years. So we're right at the cusp, and we do not want to go into non-attainment. So I'd like to thank those citizens and businesses that have stepped up and helped in this effort. And I'd specifically like to thank Ms. Michelle Mckenzie. She and her leadership have been the key to keeping the coalition going, keeping us straight, and making sure that the reports are done on time and we are proactive. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments concerning the clean air? Okay, do I hear a motion?
Yes, Judge, I'm going to make a motion to approve funding for the Clean Air Coalition for the next 2 years in the amount of $25,000. We'll be using funds from contract services.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Cotton to approve the funding for the next 2 years for the Clean Air Project from the contract services. Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 3, as I understand it, we are tabling that motion to pull it. Okay. We're going to pull item number 3. That brings us to item number 4. Discuss and take appropriate action to approve the use of the historic courthouse gazebo for Santa House starting on November the 19th, 2022 until takedown on January the 7th. Again, Hollis, I tell you, this is another thing that I can tell you that if anybody here opposes this, you are un-American. And this is their buddy here.
You'll get coal in your stocking.
This is their buddy. The 3 of these people work together. I'm telling you, hand in glove and glove again. This is Jay Riley, and the 3 of them do a magnificent job, and the children of Hood County really appreciate it, and so do the adults, like Kate Langford. You know. Anyway, please, the floor is yours.
First of all, I want to thank you and the commissioners for supporting Granbury Santa House as much as you do. We couldn't do it without you. I would like to reserve the gazebo for 22 if you all approve it. And I want to say this year, even though we knew our numbers would be down because of various things, we still saw over 3,700 people. So
that's fabulous.
I don't think it was as great, but it was still pretty darn good. And then I want to officially apologize to the judge, which we've already spoken about this, but also to the commissioners for any of the backlash you might have heard over the internet and all of that. You all have supported us so much, and I definitely want to stand up and make everybody know that any decision Santa House makes, we make. You're not making it for us.
Right.
So I don't want you to get the backlash.
Well, thank you very much, and you do take all the cautions that y'all need to do, not only to protect the 2 of you, but to protect the children and protect the parents too, and that's what you've done. And I think most all of us recognize that you've done that for that purpose, but thank you for clarifying that for the public. I really do. That's the spirit in which that's the spirit in which you do everything. That's why I don't think you're going to have any problem with the motion. Does anybody care to make this motion?
You're pretty good at it, Judge.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make the motion that the Commissioners Court approve the use of the historic courthouse gazebo for Santa's House starting on November the 19th, 2022, and continuing until takedown on January the 7th of 2023, and that they incorporate the use of Jay Wiley and use him any way you like to use. I mean, as often as you want, whatever you want to do with him. I mean, he's all game, and the kids love him, and y'all do too, don't y'all?
Couldn't do it without him. He makes sure that all of the electrical and everything is safe, and that's...
And all the guys are all in on this. They do a good job.
They do.
And they appreciate everything. They do a few things. They'll bring us donuts and feed us lunch and things like that. So we kind of We enjoy that.
It's a pretty good deal, isn't it?
It's a good deal.
And to say nothing for old Mr. Santa that's right down there, the silent one up there. Miss Santa Claus takes good care of y'all to take care of each other. So that's real good.
Thank you all so much for your support.
Okay,
We
well, that
really
was second by
appreciate it.
Commissioner Wilson. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? I couldn't hear a mouse. Okay, great. It's granted, and you have it for next year.
Thank you.
For all you do for Hood County. It's a very important role. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jay Riley.
Thanks, Mr. and Mrs. Santa.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that brings us down to item number 5, Sheriff Deeds.
Judge, Commissioners, we had came to you a while back and asked for a purchase order to move forward to purchase some Tahoes, and we were told that if we ordered them before a certain time frame that we'd be fine. Well, we just found out just a couple weeks ago that we couldn't get them, so started looking to see what we could do, and we've got Lake Country Chevrolet out of Jasper, Texas, that is able to supply us with some Tahoes. The only difference between the other order and this order is it is a little more expensive, and they're black ones. So just want to make sure this will be okay with the court. Difference between the other PO and this is $11,969, a little bit more expensive, but if we would have waited, we don't even know if we could have got any in 2023, is how bad it is. They're trying to get out, I guess because of the chips, and then get out the other vehicles to other people and kind of pushing the fleet stuff aside. So we found these, and as many miles as we put on those cars, we need to keep them, getting them replaced.
Okay.
Any clarification? So you're talking about the September 14th Commissioners Court? That's the date I have. And there were 6 Tahoes and 1 crew cab. That totaled $245,329. Is this the exact same order, or are you leaving off the crew cab?
We're going to keep moving forward with that truck. They said they can get us that, but taking the Tahoes, and we'll cancel that, or it's already been canceled, I guess, technically, and moving forward with.
So what's going to be the cost of the Tahoe, so I can make sure my capital projects money is correct?
$224,973.
Oh, just the Tahoe?
Just the Tahoes.
I hear a motion.
Yeah, if we didn't do this, no telling when we're going to get the other ones, we'll probably be spending that much money on repairing the ones we've got. So we're probably saving money by going ahead and doing this and not waiting until 2024 potentially to get the new vehicles, because they're all high mileage, you know that. So,
unfortunately, here it is January, and we're already, I think, more than halfway through with our budget, our maintenance budget, because of fixing things. So,
Judge, I'll make the motion to approve the purchasing of 6 Chevrolet Tahoe PPV from Lake Country Chevrolet at $37,490.50 each, totaling $224,973.
Second.
Motion been made by Commissioner Cotton to purchase the Tahoes as stated in the contract, second by Commissioner Eagle. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. You got the next one here too then, don't you?
Yep, number 6. So consider and take appropriate action, approve the agreement with Action Healthcare Consultants. I didn't even know who that was at first, but we started initiating conversation right after I got the resignation letter from the other doctor that January 27th will be his last day per the contract. So started talking to Dr. Bishop, seeing if we could get him to reconsider and come back, and so he is Acton Healthcare Consultants, and so he has submitted a contract to Glenn. Glenn's off sick, so he asked me to step up and bring this before you. So It would take effect on the 28th, the day after the other one goes out of date. He is asking a little bit more for the contract, but the last time it was bid out, I can't even think how I say it, Latier, I believe, something like that, then he was the only one that put in any bid. So we are fortunate to be able to talk Dr. Bishop into submitting a contract and moving forward. Otherwise, we got to have medical to take care of those inmates in there. I think I sent a text or email out this morning that we've got 53 with COVID this morning. So there's always all kinds of things going on. So I would appreciate it if you'd approve this and we can move forward.
Good. Anybody have any questions or comments? I think since this is in the area of hiring a professional, and we really need somebody to be set, and I was in on the discussion when we were interviewing Dr. Bishop, and we know him and we're dealing with a known quantity. I just think that we have to do this. I mean, we're right here. Today's already the 11th, so we don't have a choice. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the agreement between Acton Healthcare Consultant to act as Hood County Jail physician.
Motion been made by Commissioner Wilson that we approve the agreement with Acton Healthcare Consultants. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Andrews. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thank you, Sheriff. You got
Thank you.
anything else? Well, I guess the next one is yours too, isn't it? No?
Well, it says Commissioner Precinct 1.
Yeah. But
I'll stay up here if you got any questions.
well, I know we got, good to see. I know that we got somebody up here that, Miss McNabb, we're never going to deny her a motion up here. Somebody in New York City would snap her up right quick if we didn't do this. So the next item, number 7, is discuss and take appropriate action regarding the justification for charging fees to cities for animal control services. So, Ms. McNabb, why don't you just tell us a little bit about that?
Actually, I think she would rather defer to me on this. And I sure wasn't looking for a crusade or a cause on this deal, but one of our cities didn't want to sign the interlocal and pay the fees. They said that we're already paying these fees in our county taxes. Why are we having to charge the citizens of the city again for something that the county provides everywhere? So, I started looking into the law books and everything and making phone calls and talking to everybody, and I can't find any justification. Cities are not required, the only thing that they're required to do is have a rabies.
LRCA, the Local Rabies Control Authority.
Yes. And, so I guess we would still need to have an interlocal with the cities for the rabies, if they so choose to use Kimberly's as their rabies control officer. But outside of that, it very much seems to me that if somebody inside the city limits calls for animal control to come pick up a rabid skunk, they pay twice for the same service that somebody on the other side of that line pays county taxes for. I don't see a justification for us charging the city for the exact same service that we charge everywhere in the county.
Well, does every other city or municipality in Hood County pay this fee?
Yes.
Yep.
And the way they've figured out these fees of what they are, they go by figuring everything down to, man hours, mileage, everything, figure what time they have, not just grabbing something out there in space. So they spend a lot of time figuring out what it takes to do these in the different areas. So I understand the conversation. We've had this conversation with the commissioner, but they work hard to do that. We're limited with the amount of people we have out there, so we do the best we can, but with the contracts, they get out there to the cities and take care of that stuff. But
Yeah, and as far as that goes, the justification, the work that they put in to justify what those costs would be was, I mean, that was top notch. I have absolutely no qualm whatsoever with that. It's just, I'm saying there's no elevation in service. The point to a city is to provide more or expanded or elevated services to their citizens, and they pay for that. It's much the same as somebody inside the city limits calling for law enforcement to come out. The sheriff is going to come out for that, but we don't charge anything extra. That's exactly the same as everybody else in the county. That service is exactly the same as the entire county. So we're not providing an elevated service. Now, Granbury does have in animal control Hugo, and the city of Granbury pays his salary, and they have an elevation of service through that. But as far as, if there's a rabid skunk out in the yard and, Hugo's tied up with something and they call you guys would still do that same service to the city of Granbury as you would anywhere else in the county. So.
9 municipalities here in Hood County?
7.
6.
Is it like hand?
6 and 5 have paid.
De Cordova, Pecan, I mean, if you count, well, whatever.
Yeah, Pecan's not in that because they're not an incorporated area.
My point is that if we do it for one municipality, aren't the other ones going to come back and say, well, you did it for this town, I don't even know which one, because there's several towns that you have, then everybody's going to want to do that, so then you're going to have to come back and you're going to have to make another adjustment countywide.
Yeah, and my thought on this deal, the total that all the cities are paying us is about $17,000. And my thought on this deal is it's just not right. Let's get rid of the fees for these cities. The people that live inside the city limits are paying twice for this service.
So the earliest,
You being the professional here.
well, the earliest interlocal contract agreement that I could find that was signed.
Closer to the mic.
The earliest interlocal contract agreement that I could find that was signed was in 2002. And it was laid out by the hour. And then it progressed from $35 a call to $60 a call. And that was for the six municipalities, the 6 cities.
Yeah.
And so in 2015, I was asked to look at all the cost that was involved to get away from that $60 an hour. And that's when I started doing the research and provided all the numbers. And then we came up with the...
Go ahead, keep
we came up
your
with
mouth.
Yeah, we came up with the
Adjusted,
contract.
'cause
Yes. And then, and it was approved through Commissioner's Court, and now we're here, and
like I said,
it's been asked, so...
I wasn't looking for a crusade here. I wasn't looking for a cause, but this was put in my lap, and I went in and started looking at it through statute to try to justify why we could charge the cities inside the city limit an additional fee, and I can't find any justification for it. They're getting the exact same service as everybody else in the county is, and I don't think they should be paying twice for it.
Anybody else have any comment or question? Do I hear a motion?
Well, you do have, I don't know, it.
Isn't the density of service in the cities greater than...
Mike, please.
You're going to have to come up here and speak to the mic if you...
Just offhand, my question is...
Lift the mic.
Isn't the density of services in the cities greater than in the county outside of the cities?
Yes, it is, but I think you have more population density, so I think that it is probably commensurate with the, both of those.
Okay. Anybody else have any other comment or question? You care to make a motion?
I want to know, what are we trying to do here? Really?
Well, I think that we're double dipping.
So
by
does anybody
charging
complain,
the-
does anybody complain to not do it? Well, then don't do it with the ones that complain.
But what do? Do we not provide animal control service in there, even though they're paying
We didn't say that.
county fees?
I didn't say that. Yeah, the county,
Well, and
the county sheriff's office and animal control is going to do, they get a call, they're going to go. I don't care if they got a contract with that city or not. Isn't that correct, what I hear?
So 5 out of the 6 cities signed the contract and have,
An interlocal.
5 of the 6 cities have signed the contract and have they started making their payments. It's 1 city that has not signed the contract.
So what do you do with that one city that hasn't? Well, how does that affect you? Would you go in and take care of a skunk in that city?
Well, I called the state and asked them their opinion of what we should do and what obligation that we had.
Kelly, I hate to keep bothering.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm so
Justin,
sorry.
hold it. You turn your head and
I know,
see,
I
go
just
from that.
like-
Yeah. Don't-
Okay, so I called the state and asked what obligation that we had, and they said as long as there was not a contract, that we did not have an obligation, and that, but I had to make that very clear in a certified letter that, look, there's no animal control services for your city. But then after meeting with Mr. Mills, if he would like to come up here.
Yeah, please.
We're not going to turn away animal cruelty. We're not going to turn away vicious animals. We're not going to turn away a rabid animal. I don't see how we can turn our head to something like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the same time, how is it that they're paying and then the one city's not paying? So we're just kind of at this fence, But
Mr. Mills.
Okay, so based on my research, I think we got 2 options, right? That would be fair to everybody. Either we refund the money that the other cities have paid, it's probably going to be about 10 grand in total, and say, look, everybody gets this, it's on us, whether you're incorporated or not, we take care of animal control services for the county. Or, in this particular city, we just don't do certain animal control calls. And what we're still responsible for, as I read it and have researched, we would still handle a rabies call. We'd still handle livestock. So if there's a cow running loose in this particular city, there's an old AG opinion that says we still got to pick up livestock. And we handle A and B misdemeanors and higher. So if there's an animal cruelty, something that would be an arrestable offense, we're still going to respond to that. Probably more through the sheriff's office than Kelly, but maybe working together. So we're still going to do those 3 things, but we're not going to go pick up stray dogs and cats, basically. And so they can just deal with that themselves or sign the contract. Or again, we can just refund the money to everybody, play fair with all the cities, and just provide that service equally. So those are your 2 options, I think.
And I think ethically, and that's where I'm getting at, is the people that live inside the city limits are paying county taxes like everybody else, but they're also having to pay city taxes that go to fund the same program. And I think that's, Pecan is a good example because Pecan doesn't pay it. It's not an incorporated area. But what's the difference between Pecan and De Cordova as far as the services that they get? Well, De Cordova's paying for it twice. I think that it's ethically, it's not proper for us to be charging the cities an additional cost when it's the exact same services they get everywhere else in the county.
What is your view on the ethics of that, Mr. Mills? You're the city attorney dealing with legality.
Yeah, Shisha, I remember here, I was a commissioner 20 years ago. I remember David Southern and the city council telling me this exact same thing regarding everything. So, there's arguably a Pandora's box here where they're going to say, well, we're already paying for roads, we're already paying for fill in the blank, everything, right? Yep. And so why aren't you doing all this? We're already paying. So you could, there could be another thing to come up next, and there could be some dominoes to fall. So one argument would be, hey, you knew what happens when you incorporate as a city. You knew, I remember when Deckardova incorporated over 20 years ago, there was some discussion about these things, like, hey, if we incorporate, there's some good and some bad, and the bad is maybe we have to foot the bill for X, Y, and Z now that we're a city. So the argument would be, hey, you knew what you were doing when you incorporated, and now you got to foot the bill for a couple grand for animal control. Or you could say, well, they're already paying anyway, like you've said. So, I can see it either way. I don't know that there's a great ethical dilemma. It's just, kind of a political decision. Y'all can go either way.
Oh, if the city doesn't want to participate, they don't have to participate, and we'll do it. I think. We'll leave it up to them. Decide whether you want to have a interlocal with us or not. Let the city decide. If they decide they don't want to, we're still going to go ahead and do what we do as a county. Isn't that what I'm reading?
Well, okay, so if this city decides not to sign and pay us, a couple grand a year, if they decide not to do that, then we can decide not to respond to loose dog and cat calls in that city.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
But how do you justify being on this side of the line if this person calls in with a dog in the yard, you saying, no, we're not coming to get that one, but just on the other side of an imaginary line out there on the ground, this person calls. Well, just, shoo the dog across the county line and then call. I guess
it's still voluntary for a city to have a interlocal with the county. That's voluntary. We don't demand it, do we?
Right. They could have their own crew.
So I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm struggling with why we're pushing it on to them to save money. If they don't want an interlocal agreement, don't sign it. And that's evidently what one of the cities has done. Correct?
But if they don't and they still get the same exact service, what does it mean? And I've looked at some implications because, like I said, I didn't want to bring this on. And I've looked at some other implications. What else could be involved in this? What else are the cities going to come back and say, well, we're not paying for this or that? And the only other thing that I could find was the city of Granbury paying for dispatch. Granbury has an elevated level of service through dispatch for their police department that they provide additional, for their animal control, utilities, road ops, whatever they've got. They are asking for a higher level of service from the county for dispatch. And they're obligated to pay for that. I've got absolutely no problem with that. And that's the only other thing that I can find that cities give us money on. And that's 100% justifiable. What I was looking for when I started off with this is that cities have to do this, and they have to do it in some elevated way inside their cities, being obligated by becoming a city. And I can't find that. So, my thought is, let's just refund the $17,000. Well, it's less than that. I think the total was $17,000, and this is $2,400 that hasn't been paid. So, I think in fairness, we refund the $14,600, provide this service for everybody, get an interlocal for the rabies control, and just move on.
Well, and this may be a Becky question, because, if your motion passes, where does the money come from, and what fund do we take it out of to send it back to the cities if we want to really be equitable? So.
And do we charge for the LRCA, and what is that? Just
again,
research on my part, I would do research on how much
break
it all down.
I think that, again, it's the same service, same level of service that we provide even outside those city limits. So I would say that should just be.
So it'd be no charge?
That would just be on the county, yeah.
Well, you're running on a tight budget already, though. Animal control, aren't you? You don't have a bunch of abundant money, do you? Or did?
You got 80 grand.
All the budgets are figured pretty tight. Yeah, we've got some good citizens, great citizens that help in a lot of ways, but they don't pay to add extra employees and to go out and deal with all this. you know, it's you guys, whatever you guys want to do is the way it's going to be. Like I always tell my deputies, you know, the cities and the county, we're going to deal with it if we need to. So same thing with animal control. Well, it's in the county, so we're going to deal with it. We'll probably have to prioritize it. So if they're expecting, well, we've got a contract now, well, in the future, we'll get there when we get there, because those people stay really busy out there chasing calls day in, day out. So, but it's your call, whatever you want to do. It makes, I understand the discussion and all that.
Who's chasing cars, the dogs or the sheriff deputies?
All of the above.
Okay.
Well, just to put things in perspective, last year, we handled 10,595 calls, and there are 6 animal control officers, and that includes city and county calls. So we do keep very busy, like the sheriff said. So.
Like I said, I didn't go looking for this. This came to me. I didn't. But I think that it's, you know, I think it's the same thing as law enforcement. Whenever somebody inside the city limits calls 911, the sheriff's office is going out there without an interlocal and without an additional charge to the citizens of that city.
So the cities are paying double. They pay for their own police department and they help pay for the sheriff.
They
Is that
do.
right?
They do if they're looking for an elevated service by having their own police department. But there's only one of those in the county. Kinda. Lipan's kind of in flux on that at the moment, but.
Yeah, we don't,
yeah.
so in the city, when somebody calls 911 in the city of Granbury, they have their own people dispatched to that. Otherwise, outside of the city of Granbury, we take care of everything else. Lipan Marshal has retired, so we've got it all
Don't
outside.
go into the city of Granbury?
Oh, yeah, we go through it all the time.
Well,
so.
I mean, you do enforcement in the city.
We don't take the 911 calls unless they're tied up, then everybody helps each other, and we'll do what we need to do and take those calls. But
Mutually.
they would be dispatched to a city officer in the city limits of Granbury, so.
And that's an additional cost that the city of Granbury has chosen to pay for a heightened service. They wanted patrol or law enforcement more readily available. I don't want to say it that way because it kind of sounds bad, but they wanted a heightened level of law enforcement service, and they pay for that out of their pocket.
Well, Becky, where would the additional money come from? I mean, when the cities hear about this, that they're going to, not the same level, everybody's going to want their money back. So,
Revenue account where these funds went, so we just reimbursed from that account. I was going to have Kevin on the show.
I'm sorry, you're going to speak up a little bit.
I'm sorry, I have a revenue account where these monies were deposited when they make their payment or their yearly stipend payment. It goes into a revenue account, and we can reimburse them from that.
Well, if you're going to do it for one, my thing is that you got to do it for all, you know, and that's the thing. You can't discriminate against anybody. I see you shaking your head, Mr. Mills.
Yeah, I agree. We talked about this before, so I mean, if we're going to let one off the hook, we got to reimburse and be equitable with everybody.
And you're not concerned about the domino effect?
Well, that's your problem.
Thanks a lot.
I mean, the next thing is going to be, hey, we pay road and bridge tax. We pay road and bridge, you know, so, I mean, it's coming maybe, so.
Yeah, and I did look at that, and there's actually state statutes that says that a county cannot fix a road inside the city limits. That's the kind of thing that I was looking for. When a city annexes a road, they have to take over the maintenance of that, and we're not allowed to do the maintenance on a county road without an interlocal and charging them the
Or like-kind services.
Right. Right. We have to be compensated for any road work we do in the city by statute. I was looking for that statute with animal control, and it's not there. So the only other domino that there is in this game is right now is the dispatch with the city of Granbury. And then I guess you could potentially, it's just like Crescent is asking for 10 hours additional patrol by the deputy that they're paying for, and then Toller was talking about 30 hours additional patrol that they're willing to pay for. That's an elevated service. It's something above what we're giving everybody else, and that is justifiable to charge, as far as, in my mind anyway. So with that said, I would like to make a motion to refund the fees that we've charged to the cities for animal control services.
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews to refund the cities that pay animal control fees to all of them. Is that what you're saying? And let the county pick up the difference for that. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Eagle has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Yes, sir. You are entitled.
Yeah.
You're going to have to come up here.
Absolutely.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. I've heard all the conversation, and I'm not a very good public speaker, I'll admit that right up front. But I know with my work with Kelly, we work very hard to come up with the proper use of the money. She's got a budget, you guys got budgets, everybody's got budgets. I don't understand how, and the question hasn't been asked by you guys, how is this going to affect her budget? Now, if it affects her budget, she's got a basic budget she's got to fill, period, end of story. What we do, it allows her to either reduce the price of adoption, give shots, all kinds of little things that she couldn't do otherwise. And to me, you guys have accountability of making sure she gets what she got. I mean, I don't understand how you can see different. I understand what you're saying, but $17,000 to the animal control, that's a big friggin' deal.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Big deal.
Absolutely. And
I
her
hear
budget
you.
wouldn't change.
Sir, I've already heard you. I've heard you many times. But you guys need to look at the big picture. And I think you're looking at the ethics picture only, and no one's looking at, are you going to give her more budget to make up for this? If you're not, are you expecting me to? And that's kind of sarcastic, and I don't mean that. I apologize for that. But you need to look at the big picture. Enough said. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. All those in favor of Commissioner Andrews' motion, second by Commissioner Eagle, to refund the animal services fees to the 7 or 6 cities on the interlocal agreement, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, we got 1 abstention, 1 for, and did you vote for or against?
Against.
Against, so 3 against. So motion fails, right? I voted against, Commissioner Wilson voted against, Commissioner Eagle voted against. So we got 3 against, 1 for, 1 abstention. Okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Okay. The next item, we are pulling the next item. So this brings us to number 9, discuss and take appropriate action to authorize the reappointment of the Hood County Fire Marshal and approve the bond in accordance with Government Code 352.011.
Good morning.
Hello, Ms. Wilburn. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. After reading this particular government code, I contacted Matt and asked him for his opinion, and he agreed that this is an appointment that needs to be reappointed every 2 years based off of the government code. So really, that's just what we're here for. The bond has already been secured, so we're just asking for a reappointment of the fire marshal.
Okay. Got that. This guy behind you here, Jeff Young?
Probably.
Well, I just wish to say that when I think all of us took court, when Commissioner Eagle and I took court, and Commissioner Cotton took court, boy, the fire marshal's office, we had a bunch of turmoil and a bunch of everything. And actually yesterday, Jeff Young was in my office getting me to sign an emergency fire ban because everybody knows how dry it is here and how we need rain, so pray for rain, please. And I was just commenting him. I didn't know that this was on there. And I just told him that I really appreciated the great job that he has done, and Mike, sitting back on the back row there, and how well that department has run, because we were all spending a real inordinate amount of time with the fire marshal, and we haven't devoted any time to it. Y'all have done a great job. Y'all have worked with all the volunteer fire departments. I really like what y'all have done, and so based on that, I'll make the motion that we go ahead. I'm in a making motion mood today, but I make the motion that we reappoint the Hood County Fire Marshal Jeff Young, since his bond has already been approved. It's already done, but I make the motion that we reappoint Jeff Young because I think he's doing an outstanding job. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I got 4 seconds here, so I think that's a good sign, Jeff Young, but I think it's been made by, the second was by all 4 of the commissioners here. So all those in favor of the reappointment of Jeff Young say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. You're the fire marshal.
I don't know whether I should say thank you or, oh my gosh, but
Condolences.
Yeah, you just keep fielding those fire calls here. Just pray for rain. Just pray for rain, okay?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. You've done a great job. You really have. Thank you. Okay. All right. On item number, let's skip over item number 10 right now, and let's take item number 11, because that's got, is that
One speaker.
on for 11? Okay. Oh, okay. We got the GOP chairman here, Mr. David Fisher here, who said he's for it just in case we had any questions. But I think that, let me just say that item number 11 is consider and approve a resolution for the 2022 joint primary election, and the form has been signed by both the Democratic Party chairman and the Republican Party chairman, and everything is copacetic with everybody here. And speaking of that, I'd like for everybody here to meet the new elections administrator here. This young lady here has come to us, and she's been doing a bang-up good job. So please introduce yourself and tell us where you're from and how you like it so far. Okay?
Good morning. I'm Stephanie Cooper. I'm the new elections administrator. So far, I'm liking it. I'm from Arizona, so I was in elections for 7 years prior to moving up here. It's been a challenge, but it's good. I love it, so I'm up for it.
Well, good. I think you're doing a good job, and I was talking to a bunch of people out here in the audience when I saw you here today, and I think that everybody has signified. I see David Fisher shaking his head. I see Sharon shaking her head. Ms. Saget, Dr. Saget back there shaking her head. She's from Arizona, so they have a bond here. So hopefully everybody is going to get along, and we're going to be able to see this thing through. So welcome to Hood County. You're going to love Hood County.
Well, thanks.
Once somebody comes to Hood County, they never leave, do they? They never leave, do they? Okay. So, not okay, not voluntarily. All right. Do I hear a motion to go ahead and approve the the resolution for the joint primary election.
Yes, I move that we approve the resolution for the 2022 joint primary election as stated in the document.
Second.
No, only if need be.
Only if need be.
Only if we ask to. Right?
That's right.
All right, okay.
Okay. All right, so a motion been made by Commissioner Wilson, second by Commissioner Eagle, that we approve the joint primary election form or election. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion is unanimous. Thank you,
Stephanie.
Ms. Cooper. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, item number 10, do we want to adjourn into executive session to do that?
I think as we're dealing with personnel, that I think we ought to, Judge.
Okay, so for item number 10, we're going to adjourn here at 25 to 11 into executive session. So, thank you very much.
Hey, do we have any speakers on this?
Yeah, but I think we'll do that after.
do we have now?
We got speakers, but won't we talk on that after, or I don't know, how do we do that? Do we speak on it before or after?
That doesn't really. Okay, yeah, that's all right. Let's go ahead and let it, before we go into executive session then, the people that have filled out a form wanting to speak on this is the first speaker is Mark Shackleford, who's saying that he is against the motion. So, Mr. Shackleford, would you like to?
Like I said, this will be fairly brief, probably no more than 2 minutes. I would ask that I not be interrupted. Should you subpoena the head of a law enforcement agency's cell phone in what appears to be a concerted effort to disparage, intimidate, and remove Precinct 2 Constable John Shirley? The Sheriff's Office has investigated Constable Shirley. So has the DA's office, the Texas Rangers, and probably another agency, yet you continue this witch hunt. Why? Are the Texas Rangers not good enough for you? Or is it because you didn't like the outcome of the investigation? There are interesting parallels between your feud with Constable Shirley and the Russian witch hunt from a few years ago. Shirley won his election. You didn't like that. The real justice system looked at it and said he's good, yet you insist on continuing. You're wasting a lot of time, effort, and energy. Oh, and you're using a private email server to conduct government business, so there's that. How long are you going to keep this up? Voting to issue this subpoena is like sailing into uncharted waters. Even if you believe Constable Shirley deserves punishment for some unknown crime that you've shrouded in innuendo, you're opening the county up to some significant liabilities. You're violating the separation of powers and getting way out over your skis. Constitutionally speaking, constables' offices are independent law enforcement agencies that conduct investigations. What if he won't give you his phone because it contains information regarding an ongoing investigation? What if the ongoing investigation involves a member of this court? What if he's investigating you, Judge? Don't you think you should leave it to real law enforcement and the legitimate justice system? Let's stay out of the kangaroo court business in Hood County. Oh, and if you were wondering, the surgeon successfully removed Mrs. Shirley's cancerous tumor yesterday, and it appears that the chemotherapy that she had been going through these last several months helped put her cancer into remission. So praise God for that excellent news. You should be praying for the constable and his family, not trying to prosecute him. Thank you for your time.
Okay, number 2 speaker is Mr. Harold Granick. And wait, the IT department should have been here today. Drew Whitaker's out and Owen is out, but we have the letter up here. I'm sorry?
Mike.
I'm just asking the IT department to pull up Owen's letter that he's written to all the commissioners. Can you cue it up, please? Okay, so we're going to do the letter after you speak. Okay, so after all the speakers. So number 2 is Dr. Harold Granick. Dr. Granick.
Yes, people who get elected in this county or appointed take an oath. If they can't fulfill that oath, other than possible transient rule problems that prevent that, then if they can't do it, they should consider resigning and not create the problems for the county and the administration. There was a comment about separation of powers, but I think those things are legislative, executive, and judicial, and the constable's office is not a total separation of power. So I would think that there should be support for this subpoena.
Good. All right. The next speaker on this is Barbara Brashear, who is against the motion.
Thank you for allowing me to come up here and speak about this. I am representing myself, not a party, and I am a friend of John Shirley's. And me, personally, I am tired of this witch hunt. I'm a citizen. I'm concerned about the kind of money that we're spending on something that is just a total waste of time. If Constable Shirley has done something wrong, then he would have been fired a long time ago. I mean, he's been investigated, and it was my understanding that he was exonerated of any charges against him. And the idea that you would ask him to turn over his work cell phone so that you could dig for information against him appalls me. I think that we need to support our constables. We don't need to drag them down. Especially, you're beating a horse while it's down, because Constable Shirley has been doing his job and taking care of his sick wife for 2 years now. And I'm just totally appalled that you would ask him for his cell phone and try to dig up more dirt on him.
Okay, and the last speaker is David Strife.
Good morning, judges. I'd like to speak on the behalf of John Shirley.
Close to the mic, please.
Put the
We've got
mic down,
somebody
put-
says they
All
can't
right.
hear it. Thank you.
I'd like to speak on the behalf of John Shirley, as he is my constable for Precinct 2. I've known John for quite a while, and in that capacity, I've never seen him to be dishonest, to present himself in anything other than a credible person. So what I'd like to start off with is the authority that this Commissioner Court, in my opinion, doesn't have. If you look at the Commissioners Court makeup and regulations, Commissioners Court adopts the county's budget and tax rate, approves all budgeted purchases of the county, fills vacancies in elective and appointive offices, sets exclusive authority to authorize contracts, provides and maintains all county buildings and facilities, construction and maintenance of roads and bridges in the county, which are not part of the state highway system, fill vacancies for certain elected and appointed officials, set salaries and allowances for elected and appointed officials, creates offices, boards, commissions, provides buildings for use of offices, insures bonds for construction and other public projects, entering into contracts for cooperative agreements, holding general and special elections, setting the tax rate, performing a variety of administrative duties, initiate discretionary projects other than determining their value to our citizens. I don't think anywhere in this document that I see opening and conducting an outside investigation. That's number one. Number two, let's talk about the subpoena. Now, my Latin's not very good. I happen to be Hispanic, and my Spanish is even worse. A subpoena dues tecum, meaning to produce for evidence in a court order requiring books, documents, or other records under his or hers authority. My understanding is that has to be done from an official court, not a county court commission. Again, my understanding is if there is an allegation of unlawful doing, that allegation should be presented to a law enforcement agency or the district attorney or the county attorney, in which he will review the evidence and determine if sufficient cause is warranted for the subpoena. I would assume, since the Texas Rangers, and again, I'm assuming here, the Texas Rangers, when they did their investigation and cleared Constable Shirley in October, that one of the very first things they probably would have done was looked at the man's cell phone for any type of issues. It appears to me that in Constable Shirley's realm of authority, certain people up here on this board do not like the outcome. As in many cases that we've seen over the last several years, when people don't like outcomes, they change the game. I would ask, what is fair is fair. Number one, is the Commissioner's Court, do they have a policy that defines elected officials that have alleged to be involved in unethical behavior and malfeasance? If you don't, in my opinion, you're out of line. Number two, if you do, is that standard and is that policy being held fair and equitable to including individuals sitting up there? We all know, we all suspect that certain individuals have utilized non-county emails to conduct business. So before we start pointing the picture or pointing the finger at John Shirley, I would request that the county attorney, the DEA, and maybe the Texas Rangers come in and follow that trail before we start casting stones at other elected officials. That's all I have to say at the point in time. Thank you for my time. Appreciate it. Y'all have a nice day.
Here's letter. I mean, Owen's letter. Yeah. Put it up on the screen, please. This is a letter that was written yesterday by the IT department outlining what the efforts were to retrieve the cell phone that was issued to Constable Shirley. Is it up there?
What this is a timeline reported by IT, a timeline of the events.
Right. Let me go ahead and read it. To whom it may concern, this is the report on action taken against Constable 2 missing telephone. On the morning of September the 9th, I was performing an audit of our devices within our MDM, which stands for Mobile Device Management, when I noticed that the county iPhone issued to Constable John Shirley was no longer showing up on the device list. At this point, I attempted to log in to the iCloud account in order to ascertain what happened to this device. When logging into the iCloud account, I discovered the password had been changed. At this point, I logged into the email address that is assigned to that iCloud account, and they state the number, and verified my suspicions that this device had been taken rogue. On April the 23rd, 2020, at approximately 1:50 8 p.m., the password for the iCloud account was changed. As no county employee outside of 3 individuals in the IT department know this password, my assumption is that he reached out to the Apple support in order to reset this password. On August the 20th, 2020, at approximately 12:41 p.m., a new primary email address was added to the iCloud account by John Shirley. Shortly after, at 12:42 p.m., the trusted phone number was changed on the iCloud account to an iPhone ending in 24. By looking at personnel records, I can confirm that Shirley's personal phone number ends in these same digits. At this point, the phone was essentially beyond recovery, as I no longer had access to the primary email account nor the trusted phone number attached to it. On the same day, the name on the account was changed from Hood County to John Shirley. On November the 11th, 2020, the, quote, "my fine," end quote, feature was disabled from the iCloud account. With this service disabled, we are no longer able to view the device both for auditing purposes and in case of a missing or stolen device. On February the 2nd, 2021, the My Find feature was re-enabled, and Shirley used the service to locate the device after he lost it. The device's location was 9014 Monticello Drive in Pecan Plantation, a property associated with Don and Margaret Walker. The device was again lost on March 2nd, 2021, and located near Pecan Plantation with no specific address listed. After verifying all the information listed above, I reported the issue to Melissa Welburn in HR. She then advised that we call Commissioner Cotton, Ron Cotton, to advise him, as Shirley is the constable for his precinct. On September the 9th at approximately 4:02 p.m., I sent an email to Shirley with a CC of Ron Cotton, Ron Massengill, Melissa Welburn, Drew Whitaker, and Tom Rickard. In this email, I advised Shirley of the discovery and informed him that cellular service would be disabled until the phone was returned to the county. I received a reply from Shirley on September the 10th, 2021, at approximately 12:31 a.m., informing me that he would return the device to me, quote, "as soon as I can," period, end quote. I informed him that there was no immediate urgency, as I knew that he was going through a family emergency with his wife. However, that was meant to imply that it did not need to be within a few days. As of writing this document, the device has not been returned to Hood County and still remains in Shirley's possession. With this device out of county control, I can no longer assure the integrity of CGIS data that is on it, and it does not currently meet the requirements for CGIS, which stands for Criminal Jurisdiction Enforcement Jurisdiction, guidelines on cellular devices. As it stands, I view this device as a threat to county data, CGIS related or otherwise. Although issue arisen through this is the forwarding of emails to Shirley's personal email account, there are no background checks that have been sent to his personal iCloud email account. Whether or not this data contains CGIS information, I do not know, but it may want to be brought to the attention of the Sheriff's Office to verify this. If the documents contain CGIS data, this would constitute a violation of CGIS protocol, as iMail, email, and its cloud storage system are not CGIS compliant. In short, Shirley knowingly took the device out of county control, as the steps taken could not have been done on accident. Having this device out of county control presents a serious threat to the integrity of county data. I have now begun to research and demo software that will prevent any event like this from happening in the future. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And then it's
Signed, Owen.
Signed Owen Carnett of the IT department. So, with that, yes, ma'am.
So since you've let a couple of people come up and speak without filling out a form, I'd like to come up and say something. Dr. Granick, and I believe the value of the donation that came up.
I can't hear you.
Without filling out forms, there've been a couple of people come up and speak.
Yeah, well, come on up. Let's go ahead and talk about this.
I didn't fill out a form because I really wasn't prepared to speak today, but thank you for letting me speak. What I'm seeing out of this is I have to kind of back up what David Strife had said when he was speaking. I read this letter a couple of months ago. It was out on internet, basically for people to read this timeline. I've already seen it and read it. So I don't know why it's being presented as new. Secondly, I think once the commissioners, and that had been told of this, that they then should have turned it over to some type of a legal department, such as the DA or someone like that, to follow up with an investigation. I don't feel like it is the place of the Commissioner's Court to send out subpoenas and that type of thing. I think that is something for the legal department to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, I call upon Matt Mills to come up here and explain this. Let's give the legal insight from the county attorney.
Okay, is there a particular question that I need to start with?
Yes, well, first of all, isn't this a combination of my efforts with you and with Ryan Sinclair talking about how we can retrieve the phone?
Right. I mean, this there's been several discussions about that, and Ryan actually pointed you and me and some other people to Local Government Code 81 as a, and this is, I've never really seen a Commissioner's Court do it or heard of a Commissioner's Court do it, but I mean, there is a provision for the Commissioner's Court to, it says, Commissioner's Court shall issue the notices, citations, writs, and process necessary for the proper execution of its powers and duties, and then it talks about subpoena power and so on. So there was a question about whether you could do subpoena ducis tecum, in other words, to produce a thing. I ran that by David Brooks, and he said that under Chapter 81, that it was at least feasible to do it. It was, I mean, again, I've never seen it done, but he seems to think that it's a viable thing. And then the question becomes, okay, well, what if that doesn't work? And there's some questions about where it could go from here if the phone is not turned back over.
Well, here's the deal. To my understanding from IT department, and I did not know about this, but it was not part of the Ranger's investigation to try to secure his telephone. Is that your understanding too? There was some discussion that the Rangers investigated. It was never about turning over his telephone.
I don't really know about the Rangers investigation or those questions.
But they have requested the phone since September of 2020.
Well, September the 9th is when they were performing an audit. The IT department was performing an audit. That's when they discovered that the phone had been modified, and they used the term, not me, turned rogue, that they could no longer track that phone. I did get involved. I got a call from IT along with Melissa, and asked for my opinion. And IT says, well, we need to disable the phone. And I said, well, yes, if you think it's subject to being hacked into that information, that you can't protect it, then yes. If you have the ability to turn off the cellular device of that phone, I told IT, yes, you should do that. That was my involvement in doing it. And that's all I did, is when IT said that this phone, they used the term rogue, that it is really vulnerable to being hacked because they can't protect it. So they did that, even though I was informed by IT, but that does not stop that phone from accessing Wi-Fi and still using the phone. But he would not be able to use cellular, and he was notified by this letter that they were going to do that, and they did turn off his cellular service to that phone and ask him to return it so they could get it updated back into compliance with what our standards are. So,
Well, and they've been asking for it. I mean, I don't want to do this. I never even wanted the phone. But now that it's disabled, it belongs to Hood County. It doesn't belong to John Shirley. None of the equipment that any of us are issued, the phone belongs to Hood County. I don't want to issue the subpoena. All he has to do is to return the phone to the IT department. That's what it does on here. Just give us the phone. I don't want to be issuing subpoenas. He agreed that he would do it that very day. He said, I'll return it. It's been how many months now since then? 5 months since then?
4.
So just return the phone. I mean, do you see a problem with that, Mr. Shackleford? He said he would return it.
I don't understand why he has to return something that he needs to do his constitutional, his elected.
He can't do it. It's been turned off. It's been non-functional.
let's try and make sure we get it on the mic if we're going to have any conversation. I'm sorry, Judge, but I know that Katie will want to make sure it's recorded. If any further discussion ought to be doing at the mic.
That's it. Anyone?
The judge?
Yes.
If I could try to add something to this, and these are just my thoughts. I've called commissioners from surrounding counties about this particular issue. And so far, not a one of them has ever heard a commissioner's court doing this. So somebody talked about uncharted territory. I think that we are definitely in that. But I want to just try to put some reason into this situation. Is where is the evidence to support this subpoena? I've tried to call Drew. I've tried to call Owen, and they're out sick. Mr. Shirley is not here to defend himself. And I've seen this statement that's, the judge said he just gave it, but it was October the 8th, 2021 when that statement was written. Ms. Sheelander's already pointed out that it's been out on the internet for weeks. And there's 2 points in this statement that could form a basis for a subpoena ducis tecum, maybe, or at least that that's being used as a pretext to use that. He states that in his view, he considers this device as a threat to county data, CGIS related or otherwise. And he also states later in this letter, again, that having this device out of county control presents a serious threat to the integrity of county data. So my question is, how's this a threat? How serious is this a threat? And if there is such a threat, why hasn't something been done about this long before now? After all, Owens claims the situation was a threat more than 3 months ago. So this begs the question, in my opinion, and why we're doing this now, why are we doing this right now, at this time? Answer that for yourselves. Whatever the case, I believe that Mr. Owen needs to be here so we can put him under oath. Chapter 81 does give us subpoena authority, although I question whether we can do a subpoena duces tecum, because it is clear in the statute that it says subpoena a witness. It doesn't say tangible things, which makes me wonder. I question the legality of this in the first place. But whatever the case, Owen needs to be here so we can ask questions and put him under oath and get him to testify. If we're going to start doing real court stuff, then we need to do it in a real court way and put somebody on the stand, put them under oath and have them testify and put evidence in. Amen. And the bottom line is, if we can't subject, this document that was read into the record just now is all hearsay. It's absolute hearsay without somebody authenticating it. And I think Mr. Owen needs to be here to answer questions. And I'm not saying that something might not ought to be done, but I don't think it ought to be done today like this. And again, I'm not sure we have the authority. Mr. Mills and I have talked about this back and forth, and this is uncharted territory. And so I haven't had a chance to do all the research that should be done on this for me to feel comfortable going one way or the other. All I'm trying to do is point out the struggle I'm having trying to decide whether this is a proper thing for the Commissioner's Court to be doing. And I can't find any precedent anywhere. I've looked at AG opinions. I've searched the index. I find nothing that gives us support for doing this particular action at this time. Finally, I'm going to not totally finally, okay, that's lawyers say that sometimes and they really don't mean it, right? If the phone has been deactivated, I'm trying to find out what the immediate harm that we might suffer by not having Mr. Shirley just bring this in at a later date. As was mentioned by someone, his wife had extensive major surgery yesterday morning down in Houston, Texas, and hopefully she's coming out of this well, but she has been extremely sick for the last several months. And I think when you're accusing someone of not returning property that was passed out to him as law enforcement in the first place, 2, it's been deactivated anyway, why are we doing this now? And the thing about passwords, by the way, our system prompts every one of us to change our passwords all the time. So I don't even know what that means about changing a password. They don't have my password. They don't have the judge's password. And when I say they, I'm saying IT. They've got to come get me to write my password down to even let them go look at my emails. And if they're wanting to go look at all of John Shirley's emails, they're out there.
Or the easiest proposition was, since he agreed to return the phone back in September, he could just been here. He's supposed to be working here in the county. He's been here on the deal. Why not just return the phone? You think I want to use my time, the time that Matt Mills and I, that Brian Sinclair and I, that we did it? Because people are saying, what about the phone? What about the equipment that he has? Why didn't he do that? He's not working. Return the phone. All he has to do is just return the cell phone. The cell phone is not his. It's a simple act of being there. He could have dropped it off at Chad Jordan's office. He could have dropped it off at my office. He could have delivered it to IT. Just give the phone up. The phone doesn't belong to him. This could have all been avoided. Nobody wants to spend time on this. I certainly didn't. But I'm open for any motion that anybody wants to do. I certainly don't mind waiting for Owen to come back and do this. The point is that of today, after discussing this with Matt Mills, he discussing it with the guy that's supposed to be the legal authority on the powers of Commissioner's Court and the duties and powers of the county attorney, came by, and you heard Mr. Mills says they're Of course, there's no legal precedent for it because nobody probably ever done anything to disable his telephone to warrant him to have to give up his cell phone in the first place. Why did he do that? Why did he do that to begin with? And then after he did it and they found out about it, he agreed to return the phone. He had over 5 months in which to return the phone. And finally, they asked him to return it, and then they come up to me as the chief executive of the county and says, this is what we have to do. And it was after only talking to Ryan Sinclair, Matt Mills, and him confirmed with everybody that we decided that this was the method that we would have to use in an attempt to get the phone back. They'd give him until January the 25th. If he brings the phone back in, he could bring the phone in as soon as his wife recovers or mail the phone in. Whatever, just get the phone and that ends the controversy. The phone doesn't belong to him, it belongs to Hood County. That's all I have to say about this. But when somebody comes up to me, I'm not going to pass the buck. It's a political hot potato. I didn't want to do that. But I'm not going to shirk my duty to the citizens of Hood County, and I'm going to follow the law. If somebody does something that breaks the law and violates the CJIS, the Criminal Justice Information System, and exposes our county to something, I'm going to try to correct it. So if we will hire a motion, if y'all want to table it or issue the subpoena, I don't care.
Well, Judge, I called and talked to Constable Shirley last night, and he said he's going through a lot, he's got a lot going on, and he assured me that he'd bring the phone in.
Well, let's do this then. Let's give him until a certain date to return the phone at a certain date and time, to take it to the IT department and don't issue a subpoena. So that still won't do it. How about that? Is that fair?
Well, we've tried that. Here we go. We got admonished a little bit by one of your constituents. Why didn't you guys do something? You knew about it since September the 9th. Well, here we are. We're going to do something about it, and somebody wants us to wait. How much longer do we want to wait until we take action on this? We've already put it off. We've been digging into it with the judge, with the district attorney, the county attorney, trying to figure out what authority we had that we could do and do legally, and that's what we've been trying to do, and we've come to a crowd. We need to do something. We've already been admonished that we haven't been doing anything since September the 9th, but we have. We've been trying to get to the bottom of it and convincing Constable Shirley, just turn in your phone. It needs to come into the IT department. That's what they're telling us. It's not us. They're telling us they need that phone back to get it back in compliance with CJIS so the county is not vulnerable for the information that's on it. So
No, I think we've heard
I don't give, we can give them a couple weeks, give them a couple months. I don't really care myself, but IT does.
I'd like to propose a motion that if he returns the phone in 10 days on the deal, that we not do anything. But if he doesn't do it, that we issue a subpoena. I don't want to do that. I've been involved in the legal system on all. Everybody knows what the subpoenas are. Mr. Mills and I and Mr. Sinclair and I, we talked about this. It took a lot of time and effort to look at it because there is no precedent, because I don't know of any public official that's ever done anything like that to begin with that would violate the CJIS rules and regulation and expose a threat to the county that warrants them to have to cut off the phone. So that's what I would propose, that we not do anything as far as issuing a subpoena if he returns the phone as he reported to you, Commissioner Andrews.
Well, can we just table this thing till the next court? That gives him 14 days. And if it's not in at that time, then take the action on that.
All right. That's the same thing. I'm sure that you can reach him, since you talked to him last night. Just tell him that we're tabling it and just return it to IT before the next court. Okay? So if that's it, do I hear a motion that we table this until the next court on the 25th, that hopefully John Shirley returns the cell phone that's issued to him with the ITAG number that identifies that phone on or before the next court.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Anybody want to second it?
I'll second it.
A motion been made by Commissioner Andrews, second by Commissioner Cotton.
No.
Excuse me, by Commissioner Eagle, that if John Shirley returns the cell phone that he was issued, the subject of this debate at a certain tag number, on or before January the 25th of 2022, that we will not have to take any further action.
I seconded a motion to table it. That's what I seconded.
Table it until the 25th to give him an opportunity to return it.
Sure, yes, sir. Table.
That's the motion. Do you second that motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So all those in favor of the motion made by Commissioner Andrews, second by Commissioner Eagles, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all very much.